Hello. Hi, everyone. It's noon. It's Saturday. I hope you all are doing well. Love the fact that it's the weekend. I'm Omolara. Nice to see you all. Honestly, hey, how are you guys? I am super excited that it is Saturday finally. It's been a week. I don't know, pop in the chat how you are feeling today. We're gonna be talking about strengths, which is one of my favorite topics. Those of you who have worked with me know it's like I love talking about strengths. And so we're gonna be talking about strengths, and we're gonna do it nice, a little, short little wrap up about how once again this is really this whole journey for the past 5 days. Now today being day 6, tomorrow is going to be the end of this, and then we're actually going to start the workshop. But the reason why I do this is really to start for us to start asking ourselves the questions that we a lot of times have. Hey, NECA, sorry I missed you on IG, and all of you who are watching. Because we have to go into 2021 doing things differently. We can't keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And a lot of times, what happens is we don't even make space to do things differently. And so, what I'm hoping to do is using these little tidbit, these minutes, right? Whether it be 15 or 20 minutes each day this week to start get the juices flowing, and then to get you prepared for moving into our pivot into your purpose workshop, which goes from Monday to Friday. The workshop's really intensive. It's an hour, but it's a jam-packed hour that we're moving you from lack of clarity, lack of confidence, to now actually feeling like, whoa, I know what I want to do, and I know that I need to take action. And I think that's the best way for us to really start moving into 2021, right? We don't want to move into this space of like, oh, I hope this happens, I wish, but actually like this is going to happen, and this is why, because I've now taken steps to start thinking differently. So just to give you a recap, today we're going to be talking about serving our strengths as one additional thing that we can do that is going to help us think about what are the pivots that we need to make in our thinking, and then also going to help us to get ready for the pivot into your purpose workshop. So let me introduce myself and why you should even like listen to this. So I am CEO, founder of Melanin Medicine and Motherhood, which is the only comprehensive personal and professional development incubator and strategy program specifically catering to Black women health professionals. We initially started focusing on Black women physicians and then expanded to other health professionals because we realized that this is unfortunately burnout, lack of fulfillment, confusion, that lack of clarity is not relegated to just physicians, and we want to be able to support all of us who are in medicine so that we can support each other at an even greater scale. So that is the work that I do. I love this work. And what we did over the course of this week, I'm just going to recap, is that we've been spelling out purpose, okay? Because I like to do cheesy things like that. And so we started with pinpointing your passion. Hey, Simple Neffy. We're just doing a recap of what we actually covered in this past day 1 to day 5, and today is day 6. So we started with pinpointing your passion. Okay, so do a check mark on the things that you're hearing that you've done, or things that you're like, I have not actually thought about that. And then as you do that, I want you to head back in after we finish today and start looking at those videos. And before you even do that, I want you to register for our Pivot into Your Purpose workshop after this. Hi, Chinadu. And the reason why I want you to register for the Pivot into Your Purpose workshop is that if any doubt is coming up for you, anything that you're just kind of like on the fence of, wow, I don't know the answer to that, then this is a really important workshop for you to do before you end this year. And it helps you to get on a high. So day 1, we talked about pinpointing your passion. What is it that you love to do? We talked about what stops us from identifying that, how we can move into that. The second thing that we talked about was uncovering your blocks. So what is it that is happening in your life, right? What are the things that you don't recognize that keep you from the success, keep you from moving into your best self and your best life? And when we think about success, I like to think of it as you being the full embodiment and living at your fullest self through every part of your life, right? And not feeling like you have to constrain, refine, and not live at the joy and the level that you want to live at. So we talked about uncovering your blocks. On the third day, we talked about the R, which was reassessing your values. We talked about how values are extremely important beliefs that guide how we think, they guide how we actually monitor our life. And we talked about the fact that we have, values that we have, but then we don't actually embody. And so that's particularly, a big issue for us to think about, and the fact that if we have certain values, why are they not showing up in how we actually run our daily lives? The next thing that we talked about was the P, and that P was specifically around practicing daily reflection. So many times as things are moving, we're not even identifying like, oh, maybe I should think about what's happened today. How can I make it better? What went well? What did I learn? We don't honestly do that. We're like, okay, the day ended. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. And we keep moving. And so that P of practicing daily reflection, we talked about what questions you should be asking and how to do that in a really quick way that gives you a lot of value and helps you to actually get some momentum. We talked yesterday about the O, okay, which was optimizing your life. And we talked about the difficulties in saying no. And we talked about why that happens. We talked about the boundaries that you need to make. How do we make those boundaries, right? And how do we stop creating new things and saying we're going to add this and do this, and we just are reluctant to eliminate the things that actually would make a lot of space and help us to get closer to our success. So we talked about all of that. And so today, what I wanted to talk to you all about was the S, which is serving your strengths. Okay. And so strengths, a lot of times, even though it seems like we should naturally know what they are, what I've found with the many women that I have the pleasure of working with is we don't know actually what our strengths are. And what I mean by when I say we don't know what our strengths are is that not that we may not have an idea of it, but we're not fully doing it and being one with what our strengths are, and letting that flow out of us and letting that become a level of confidence that we exude in everything that we do, because we know those strengths are so core. They are not an idea, they are actual fact. And so the biggest barrier is not knowing your strengths. And there actually are assessments to help us with that. But there's also just like reflection on understanding. And you honestly usually know what your strengths are. We go into how to identify your strengths a lot more in the Pivot into Your Purpose workshop. But that's the first thing. The second thing is we won't embody our strengths and we minimize them. Hey, Jay Hillick. We won't embody our strengths and we minimize them. So a lot of times, people may marvel at certain things that we do and that we don't register that actually is like a key strength for me. And we actually minimize it and we distance ourselves from our strengths. We say, oh, that was nothing, or, oh, this is, not actually taking in the fact that this is something that I need to hold close to me rather than distanced from me, and figure out how can I be in this space more often. So that's something that is also another issue for us. The third issue for us is that we don't use our strengths, right? So we have them, people tell us about them, and then we put them in this box over here, and we're spending time draining ourselves in the things that aren't our strengths, instead of thinking about how we can automate, delegate, or eliminate those things and spend more time in the things that actually are our strengths, right? We don't use them. And so one of the three questions that I want you to ask for yourself for this weekend, like I said, I try to keep these short because I gotta conserve energy for the workshop. So what I usually say is that there are three questions that you can ask yourself, I would say. And so the first question is, are you spending time in your strengths or wasting time outside of them? Okay. So, first question I want you to write down is, am I spending time in my strengths or am I working outside of them? So, okay. So, I know a strength of mine is not execution. It is visionary. It is thinking big picture, helping people move into what is the next step for them, strategy. Love all of that, right? Writing the email, having to schedule the thing, having to do that. People love that. That is not my strength. However, as I was building programs both in my workplace and then now outside in both of my businesses, I realized that that was not a strength of mine. And so I said, I definitely need support. And I didn't want to automate it. I just didn't want to do it. Okay. And I needed to do it. So I couldn't eliminate it. So it was like, I had to delegate this. And so these are really important things that you have to start thinking about. When you can't delegate, automate, right? So in the beginning, I did automate. And then finally, I could delegate. And I was like, thank you, Lord. And so this is extremely important for you to think about. Am I spending time in my strengths or am I wasting time outside of them? So I know that if it's up to me to write the email, it might take forever, right? But if I have somebody there who is an executor, once I tell them, hi, Suzette, once I tell them that this is the thing that needs to happen, it will actually happen, right? The second thing I want to think about that in terms of questions, because we talked about most people in their strengths, they don't know their strengths, they don't embody them, they minimize them, and then they don't use their strengths. They keep them on the back burner and then they distance themselves from them. So first we talked about, are you spending time in your strengths or wasting time outside of them? Are you, if you have to actually do things that you know aren't your strengths, are you automating them? Are you then delegating them if you can't do the delegation first? And then just thinking about, do I actually need to do this? Can I just eliminate this? Is this something that I need to spend my time on? The second thing is, who can help me to see my strengths? So many of us, because especially as Black women, we get so many messages about who we are and what we don't do right and what isn't in our strengths, that a lot of times it's so deep down that it's hard for us to recognize that and to move into spaces with confidence and to control the room, right? And to be able to activate what needs to happen, even your success. And so a lot of times what I talk about is getting that evidence. For many of us as Black women health professionals, evidence works. For scientists, we need some evidence. And so one of the things that was really important early in starting my business and starting to learn more about my strengths was asking people, kind of, if you could tell three things to describe me, what would those three words be? Asking questions about, what is it that you think I do well? And starting to hear that objectively from other people is extremely important in terms of bringing ourselves up and starting to move in a more confident way. So not only sometimes before we can even spend time in our strengths, it's recognizing what they are. And too often they're so deep down that we haven't even done that work. Many of us haven't even done assessments, which is actually something that we do in our program for a lot of the women at Jump because of that. But one of the things is using other people to help you get that, help you to get those juices flowing. The third thing and the last thing that I would talk about is, where did I use my strengths in this week and what was the outcome, right? So where was it that I actually used my strengths and what was the outcome for that? So for example, many times when we're using our strengths, a lot of times we distance ourselves, like I talked about, and then we don't recognize learning points from what we did. So did I get a win from that strength that I used, right? Or did I not get a win, but what did I learn from it? And so when we do that, that allows for us to know that there's always something good from the strength and actually using it, and also connecting our strengths to an outcome that hopefully we believe is positive, either a win or some kind of learning. Hi, Village Jabito. And so I want you to think about, even this week, because a week is nice and short and you can kind of connect to it really quickly and do a deep dive. But this week, where did I use my strengths this week? And what was the outcome? Did I get a win? What was that win? Did I learn from it? What did I learn? And in that way, you are starting to really connect a lot of confidence, a lot of positivity from what you're doing. And my daughter's in the background. So we're probably gonna wrap this up soon. And so just to recap for today, we are talking about serving our strengths and using that, and starting to connect that to getting to the success that we want in 2021. Many times, many of us need to make a pivot. I am myself am making some pivots, some big pivots, both emotionally draining pivots and monetarily expensive pivots, but pivots nonetheless that are going to move me, I believe, towards a different level of success. And so for all of you, one of the key points, in addition to the past 5 that we've talked about over the past 5 days, is serving our strengths. Just to remember, thinking about, are any of these blocks happening for you where I don't even know what my strengths are? I don't embody my strengths. I minimize them. If people talk about them, I don't use them. I don't actively say, how can I use a strength? The 3 questions that I want you to think about in terms of moving against these blocks and moving forward out of these blocks is, are you spending time on your strengths or wasting time outside of them, right? Where you're becoming inefficient because you're not saying, I need to automate that. I need to delegate that. I need to get rid of it completely. The second thing is, who can help me to see my strengths? Okay, we're going to be winding down. I know most of you are now still watching just because of her, but who can help me to see my strengths? Who are the people that are extremely important that I can confide in and ask, like, what is it that you think I do really well, right? And then the third thing is, where did I use my strengths this week? Okay, and what was the outcome? Connecting your strengths to, hi, Christina Alicia, connecting your strengths to something positive that has been happening in your life. I would love for you guys to let me know in the chat, especially those of you who are on IG or Facebook, what are the things that you think are really important, that when you think about your strengths, are you using them? Are you connected to them? Like, pop in some emojis if this is in any way helpful, or if this was in any way enlightening for you in terms of, hi, Delisha Walters. Let me know that, because this is all information that I want you to start thinking about before we move into the Pivot into Your Purpose workshop. And so if you came in late, make sure you watch the replay. I'm going to pop this on IGTV. And then also, hi, NECA, for those of you in the Facebook, this is streaming into our Facebook group, but this is also on our Facebook page. So you can see all of these on our Facebook page, which is Melanin, Medicine, and Motherhood. And then the other thing that I want you to think about as well is, do I need to actually do something next week that can help me move forward differently into 2021? If you do, then sign up for the Pivot into Your Purpose workshop. In IG, the link is in my bio. It's the first thing there, and it's on our website, www.omolaraMD.com. You head there. It's right at the top. You can click and register. It's transformative and valuable, so valuable 5 days. We got some giveaways too. I keep forgetting. So it's free. We have some great giveaways that we're going to be doing: books, planners, the scholarships for coaching as well, and gift cards. And we're in the giving season, right? And so I'm hoping that this was helpful. Let me know anything that you're taking away. Feel free to DM me if you have any questions. And it is bit.ly/MMM Pivot 2020, all uppercase. MMM Pivot 2020, bit.ly/MMM PIVOT 2020. We have so many women already registered, and really excited to have you guys at it. And also, one of the things that I usually share is that if you have a friend who you also feel like you want to do this together, then do it together. Actually have your friend come and try to do this together, because it's just a lot more powerful for both of you to actually see this transformation that happens within the 5 days. So Take care. My video has been infiltrated, so I'm going to leave.
Bye.
And, and have a good rest of the weekend. I'll see you tomorrow for day 7, and make sure you register for the workshop, okay? Take care, everyone. Have a good
Bye.
bye.